From the runway to the railway, the classroom to the operating room, onshore, offshore, and even underwater. In the control room, the contact center, the corporate office, and everywhere in between. Avaya is taking on applications other vendors can't handle.
We must ensure that our infrastructure is future-ready. Avaya's Fabric Connect gets us there.
Delivering agility other solutions can't match.
We started testing it. I started pulling fibers. Everything was true. Resiliency, the failover was super fast.
Winning deals that once seemed out of reach.
New Jersey Transit is a 20-year Cisco customer. Anybody that still thinks inside of Avaya that we can't sell data, this is a proof point that we can.
Making it possible for our customers to introduce the new applications they need to succeed.
As we start to focus on highly complex oncological care and e-medicine, we will be relying on our Avaya network to support us.
It's a new day in networking.
We're able to give them no single point of failure and throughput that's beyond their understanding.
We spoke and showed them in the boot camps the ease of programming, and they couldn't believe it. They were mind-boggled.
Avaya's customers are really confident in our technologies. They're seeing it as unique in the industry, and they want it now.
Enterprises around the world are discovering that when it comes to networking, Avaya has technology that no one else can offer. If you are not proposing Avaya networking to your accounts, you're surrendering wallet share to your rivals. The time is right to win with Avaya networking.
Hi, and welcome to the presentation, 4 Ways to Open Doors and Win with Avaya Networking. My name is Jamie Weaver of Avaya Global Product Marketing. As you've seen from the video, a momentum is building in Avaya Networking, and I'm going to share with you how to capitalize on it. When many of us started out in the networking industry, this is how we evaluated solutions, and this is also how we sold. It was pretty simple to compare fact sheets and declare victory, or maybe even a loss. However, today things have changed. When we first engage prospective customers now, here are the first things out of their mouths. They'll talk about an application, a real-time application that needs to be rolled out immediately or expanded immediately. They'll talk about regulatory requirements that are impinging upon them and they need the ability to hit a quick deadline. They will also talk about the need to have great business continuity, which often means they need to make decisions now when servers start to go down in one of their data centers. They want to have confidence that when they leave the office, that they will have uninterrupted service and they can focus on things that are strategic. And really they need to know that when they have a real-time application like a video call, that they will have the conversation will be more about the content of the call rather than the technology. However, the bold truth is, it is impossible for today's networks to run at business speed. The protocols that are used in today's networks were actually introduced in the 1980s. They take way too long to implement new services. They're too complicated to troubleshoot. They take too long to reconverge. They bring way too much risk into the network core. They're difficult to scale for real-time applications, and they're reactive to session quality. However, don't just take our word for it. We've spent a lot of time with customers, and very few, if any, conversations start with box speed. The conversations mostly start by describing the difficulty they have to be a driver of the business instead of a roadblock. Customers know something needs to change, but they're not sure how to do it. When customers see there's a problem, but are unsure how to scope it and how to address it, this is called a market inflection point. And guess what? This inflection point is our technology sweet spot. Now, here's the challenge with inflection points. Simply stated, the customer doesn't know what they are missing. So how do we take advantage of this? Avaya Networking's selling strategy is pretty simple. We're not producing Me Too products and then trying to beat the competition in other areas, like price or distribution. Instead, we are focusing on business speed capabilities that no one else in the industry is paying attention to or can solve. We're taking that strategy to 2 markets. This is how you do it. When you're selling to enterprises, lead with the fabric. How do you do that? It's easy. talk about solving problems that they didn't know could be solved. The top 5 are listed here. These are real problems, and we're getting indoors. You will see these later in the presentation. Now, the great thing about Fabric Connect is that it extends across the entire network. It becomes an integration point for other great technologies in areas like access and the data center. Now, you will tie the access portfolios in by showing the great synergy between Fabric Connect and Identity Engines, which automatically places a user into a virtual service network depending upon their corporate credentials, device, and access medium. Then you will follow with Avaya's direction of wireless integration into Fabric Connect. Now, tying into the data center is easy too. We are the only company in the market offering a full stack virtualized collaboration pod and distributed top-of-rack performance. Fabric Connect is so powerful it's actually allowing you to address the pain points of software-defined networking today. Now, when you're selling into the mid-market, the story is really straightforward. Attach edge switches, the ERS 3500 and 4800, to IP Office. The attach rate is rising. It's the highest it's ever been. Emphasize 3 unique advantages that we have for customers and resellers. First, we have invested millions of dollars into unified commerce to make it easier for customers and resellers to do business with one vendor. Second, we are building cross-portfolio secret sauce into our voice and networking products. With one command, for instance, the network switch and VoIP phones are automatically configured into the correct VLAN, server, and quality of service category. Identity Engines automatically maps users to services instead of ports, and also relieves the IT group from manual moves and mistakes. And third, we have built in native quality monitoring between our switches and voice and video products. And very importantly, there is one throat to choke. Now, this is a great story. Be proud to tell it. But again, don't take our word for it. Let's also take the customer's word. The fact is, our blue chip wins are on a significant upward trajectory. Not all customers will allow us to show their logos, but we have won some of the largest hospitality, manufacturing, healthcare, education, and transit deals in the world, and most at our competitors' expense. In fact, as of this recording, we have deployed our 60th enterprise-wide Fabric Connect customer. These deals are moving at an exponential rate. So let's look at some actual case studies and learn how reps leverage this selling model to find and win great customers. Here's the agenda. We'll look at 4 case studies, each winning with a different problem set. For each case study, we'll watch a clip from the winning account team. Then we'll take a deeper dive into some of the key elements. Then we'll summarize the winning points for each deal. Then we'll wrap up and show you some resources. The first case study is New Jersey Transit. Let's start by showing how they led with the problem of video surveillance.
New Jersey Transit is the 3rd largest transportation provider of bus, rail, and light rail to the state of New Jersey. They service about 230 million people within a 5,300 square mile radius. I am the lead person on the account. I work for Altura Communications. We're one of Avaya's largest platinum business partners.
New Jersey Transit was severely affected by Hurricane Sandy. It made them refocus on priorities within their organization and contingency plans, disaster recovery, and how to get these systems back online quicker.
It was announced a couple years back that the Super Bowl would be at MetLife Stadium in 2014. What New Jersey Transit has to deal with is really public safety in terms of shuttling people back and forth. The client was looking for sort of a unique solution in terms of being able to manage their video surveillance network.
They were going to need to increase their camera populace from somewhere in the thousands to perhaps 10,000 cameras.
We went first in at the Director of Telecom and Network Architecture.
Being that he owns all the responsibilities for that type of environment and public safety, he needed to come up with an alternate solution to what he was using today.
New Jersey Transit knows that we do video and we do data, but they've always kept it separate.
They were familiar with Nortel, but since the acquisition, they just assumed that we were not a part of the data business technology any longer.
We brought them into the briefing center. We showed them a little bit of voice, we showed them the data, we showed them video, we showed them a little bit of everything.
I think when they looked at our solution, they immediately saw the value, and within 2 days of the briefing, we were asked to provide budgetary pricing. The solution that we presented was VINA, which is a Fabric Connect architecture utilizing shortest path bridging.
We have a nice solid core made up of ERS 8800s clustered together. So we're able to give them no single point of failure and throughput that's beyond their understanding.
Once you set the core, you leave it alone. You don't have to touch it anymore. Anything that gets changed or modified or added on gets done at the edge.
You have the ability now to insert cameras at will and not affect the day-to-day business operations.
We spoke and showed them in the boot camps the ease of programming, and they couldn't believe it. They were mind-boggled.
During one of our training sessions and educational sessions, we thought we had lost the customer. A lot of the engineers around the room started going into their iPhones and doing everything but paying attention, only to find out what they were actually doing was going on the internet and looking up VINA Fabric Connect and discovering it's already deployed out there in the industry, and actually one of the co-authors of Shortest Path Bridging works for Avaya.
We used the Avaya gallery. We brought in the city of Santa Clara, and we let the two customers just have a Q&A session for an hour. And at the conclusion of that call, the customer called us back and felt that that was extremely helpful.
We went in there really as one team. There was no separation between functionality by what Altura would do and what Avaya would do.
When they say the power of we, I have to definitely say that that's how all business partners should work with Avaya as their manufacturer.
We went from a briefing to a purchase order in 3 months. That's a testament to the teamwork.
Avaya has a lot of engineering resources. They have the video now. You could do the Scopia.
New Jersey Transit is a 20-year Cisco customer. Anybody that still thinks inside of Avaya that we can't sell data, this is a proof point that we can.
Being here at this point in time with the journey that Avaya is on is just been exciting. Probably the most excited I've been in the last 10 years or so.
For a lot of salespeople that sell with just voice, like I did myself, that are afraid of data, don't be afraid of it. You have to just know enough to get your foot in the door, to educate the customer.
Get out there, tell the story, take them on a journey like we did, and there's a very good chance that you'll win the business.
Video surveillance is a great problem to lead with. The market is growing fast. It's getting a lot of press with high-profile events. So most companies will have some type of video surveillance program going on. So let's look at some of the details behind the video surveillance problem. Anyone should be able to sell this if you start by explaining the problem well. After this slide, you will know how to talk about the problem with anyone. Analog video surveillance systems have been the standard for a while. However, the problems with analog are, 1, it's a separate network to manage, and 2, it requires digital conversion gear. Going to an IP-based system solves the two issues with analog. Customers are seeing this, and in 2014, IP camera shipments for the first time are predicted to pass analog shipments. However, running video surveillance on IP also introduces a bunch more problems. The first of which, the easiest way to do video on IP is through a technology called unicast. However, unicast is a one-to-one protocol that limits scale and really eats up bandwidth. It's also complex and has poor performance. So if you run a protocol called multicast, you solve the one-to-one and bandwidth issue. You have a better opportunity for running HD high-definition video as well. But you add complexity because you have to run yet another protocol called PIM. So, in summary, customers want to run video surveillance over their IP network. But to do that, it's quite complex with today's technology. There's your problem. I think you should be able to tell that story. So let's talk about the solution. The picture says 1,000 words. We've been building Ethernet networks the same way for over 15 years. The average network has anywhere from 3 to 7 protocols that are all interdependent upon each other. CPUs are taxed when a box or a link or carrier service fails. All protocols have to recover in order. And further, you have to pay for those idle links that sit out there and really do nothing until there's a problem. Further, it's not really scalable. So let's look at the right side. Does that look simpler? Not only do the performance issues go away, but the network gets exponentially simpler to provision and maintain. When you add new cameras, you simply provision the edge device and everything else is done. You can also secure the security data, which means when a camera is added, you simply link the security virtual service network to the camera and you're done, which is a couple commands. No programming every device that it touches and making errors in the core. So in summary, the solution is Fabric Connect. It takes all the complexity out of video surveillance and scales much greater and performs much better. Can you sell this? So let's move on to how to look for opportunities. Ideally, you want large implementations with hundreds to thousands of cameras. Now, you don't have to be limited to that, and certainly this works with small implementations, but the larger the implementation, the more complex it will be for the company. Government is huge. Gaming, retail, finance, airport. It's becoming prevalent everywhere. In fact, we heard of an opportunity in Canada where a pharmacy with lots of branch locations had a total of 35 cameras at each branch. This was in comparison to only 6 phones. So consider the opportunity to sell more PoE switches at the edge by powering cameras and phones. Although video surveillance is the application that is really taking the lead for multicast solutions, there are other applications which are relying more on multicast, including some of the applications that we sell. There are some rad vision use cases for multicast. There are contact center use cases. Stock ticker and financial trading runs on multicast, TV and video distribution, digital signage, desktop imaging, and data centers, to name some of the major ones. Now, how do you replicate this opportunity? First, you confidently ask for the business, and in many cases, you ask again. Next, you get to the demo early. When customers can see the technology, the light bulb comes on and the sell cycle really accelerates. Use your support team. You have sales specialists, you have members of the PLM organization, executive teams that are very willing to meet with the customer. You can give demos on site or at labs. And we have lots of references that we can be hooked up with the customer and have live conversations. Now, New Jersey Transit asked about 3 times for the business. That's over $400,000 per ask. That is a good return on asking. The next case study is about leading with application agility.
Dubai World Trade Center is the largest exhibition and convention center in the region. On an annual basis, it hosts between 200 to 300 events, more than 3 million visitors a year. From an economic perspective, it contributes to tourism in Dubai, attracting more than 20% of the overall visitors to Dubai. The project started as an upgrade for the existing Cisco network infrastructure. They regularly have anywhere between 3 to 5 different events on a weekly basis, and they had to reconfigure the entire network every week for each one of those exhibitions. Now, this was a very manual process. It took a lot of work, and it was very prone to human error. Cisco pitched an MPLS-based solution, which the customer found to be both complex and very expensive at the same time. We started our engagement with the IT manager and his team. Those were the people who were really struggling with the legacy network infrastructure they had from Cisco. They wanted to have a technology which was easy to configure and implement, but at the same time have it in a very cost-effective manner as well. The solution that we proposed in Dubai World Trade Center is an end-to-end fabric infrastructure, starting with the VSP 4000 on the access layer. So we have more than 5,000 ports, all fabric enabled, going through into the distribution layer, which consists of 18 ERS 8800 modular switches, and this all consolidates on 2 VSP 9000 core switches. On the data center side, we are running the VSP 7000 platform as a top-of-the-rack architecture. Once the customer was convinced of our technology, we positioned Avaya Professional Services wraparound to customize our proposal to meet exactly the business requirements that Dubai World Trade Center had. No other vendor in the market was able to give them a solution that matches this architecture in terms of flexibility and ability to deal with their dynamic business requirements. This really had a business-changing impact, taking the time to configure the network for an exhibition from 3 days down to a few hours. Number one was to focus on the customer's business objective. Take the time to listen to the customer, learn what their requirements are, understand their business pain points, and customize our solution to meet those requirements. Following that, we had technical workshops and proof of concept with the rest of the engineering and IT team. And then we also engaged with the executive level at Dubai World Trade Center to make sure they also felt the commitment from Avaya, the corporation, and executives as well. Finally, the team had the right confidence to go out and challenge Cisco in one of their key accounts, show our superior technology, show that we are more cost effective, show that we are easier to deploy and do business with, and win the account.
This is an interesting case study. After initially presenting to the core management team and having a positive reaction, something happened in the deal that set it on hold. However, the Avaya account team was able to secure a 15-minute meeting with the executive management team and present their case. The following slides were actually presented to this executive team, and then the deal was opened after this. The team started by outlining the customer's technical and business problems. They talked about the current legacy protocols that the customer was using and how half the network's idle. They experienced long failover times and troubleshooting complexity. They then talked about how the business really couldn't handle the business application bandwidth, how regular customer service outages were problematic, and how it was an inefficient use of IT resources. The account team then went on to use an actual diagram of the customer's network to expose the issues of their implementation. Here the sales rep showed each link in their network that sits idle until failover. The rep explained that this is not only costly, but expanded on why it takes so long to reconverge and troubleshoot. Here the rep acknowledged their problem of taking a full week to configure all exhibition networks for each show. The rep then showed their own network diagram again and highlighted everywhere that they had to make configuration changes, including the core of the network, which is very risky and therefore requires maintenance windows as a result. The team then introduced the Avaya solution of Fabric Connect. The team then put together the new view of their network using the Avaya solution, highlighting that all links are active and running all the time. The team then explained how easy it would be to configure private secure networks for each exhibitor using Fabric Connect. So in this case, they have exhibitor A, which has a 1 megabyte service. Notice how it's only an edge configuration and everything is completely isolated. In the second case, exhibitor B has a 2 megabit service and access to one server in the data center. Again, only edge configuration, making it minimal in terms of configuration times. They then explain to the customer how other services that they offer can be just as easily to implement and maintain. For instance, their closed-circuit TV can have its own virtual service network. Digital signage can be completely isolated from all other traffic. And those who participate in the wireless LAN network can also have its own virtual service network and be completely isolated from all other traffic in the network. So for this case, you can replicate the opportunity by identifying companies that have dynamic network requirements, like companies that need to offer multi-tenant services, such as governments, educational organizations, healthcare, and hospitality companies. For instance, a local government may want to separate traffic of their police department, their fire department, and healthcare organizations. In this case and many others, businesses can and will talk about business speed over box speed. Be sure to engage at all levels and build credibility through reference customers. And be sure to offer the right service model for support of the customer. Again, the return per ask is substantial. In this next case study, we'll be looking at how we lead with business continuity.
Franciscan Alliance is actually the combination of 13 different Catholic hospitals, extensive cancer research, heart research. They're one of the largest Catholic hospitals in the Midwest. I think what we've done very well in the Midwest is we've really focused in on healthcare so that we understand not only this customer but the healthcare industry. Imaging is more and more part of the health industry. The bandwidth requirements that were once sufficient now need to be increased. Quality of service issues really manifested when they began to roll out UC. Inevitably, people would be on phone calls or on video conversations, and they would end up having choppy video. The biggest challenge that they had was resiliency. They were having failovers that would essentially amount in minutes of downtime. When we heard about the challenges that this customer was facing, and we certainly hit the senior directors and we talked to the CIO. We try to have CIO relationships with all of our accounts. This account, we have a really close relationship with the CIO. When we began this project, there was a lot of concern in the customer base about will Avaya keep the networking business. We assured them we were not going anywhere. We also made sure that they understood that the technology that we're using is an industry standard. So even if they chose to move away from Avaya at some point, they were able to leverage the same technology they'd be choosing long into the future. Cisco's always there, but in this instance, Ciena was the primary competition. The Avaya Fabric Connect solution is really based off of SPB, shortest path bridging, utilizes ISIS, allows us to create an environment that's completely virtualized. What the customer is able to do is actually go to the endpoint where they need the service, enable it there, and SPB does everything in between.
We can go to our customers and offer them a solution that more often than not, they don't believe is true. That they're just not used to seeing something as scalable, something as available and resilient, but is also so simple to implement.
If a customer's purchased solutions in the last number of years, more than likely we can upgrade those solutions. So products like the ERS 8800, like the VSP 9000, right, our ERS stackable products, we can go all the way to the edge with this technology. The sales tools that we used was really the overall team. We used sales specialists, we used the product teams, we used CSEs. We did a demo with the customer so we could actually show them the technology. We also leveraged executives, brought in executives at the CIO level.
Our ability to remove human error from their IT operation is truly groundbreaking. So based upon that, our Avaya business and our Avaya practice really is growing leaps and bounds.
Nobody else really has this technology today in the enterprise, right? So we have a leg up on the competition. You need to be confident about it. You need to ask, and when they say no, you need to ask again and continue to ask until they allow you to show them the technology. Once you're able to show a customer this technology, we're seeing customers that would never give us the time of day opening the doors to us and giving us opportunity.
To better understand this customer's issues, we'll once again turn to their own customer diagram. So this is a topology, a physical topology of their network, and these are all hospitals that are interconnected with fiber links in a ring format. Actually, there are two rings: a primary ring for operations, and then a backup ring. However, bandwidth was so poor, they found themselves having to use that backup ring more times than not, which caused a lot of complexity. Further, they found that when there were breaks in the network, reconvergence was very difficult. It almost had to happen sequentially. Maintenance windows then became a big challenge, and for the time they weren't using the backup to supplement their operational bandwidth, their backup ring stood underutilized. So this was a very suboptimal position for the hospital to be in, and they were getting complaints from their services, as the video stated. So let's look at what the customer proposed, or what the account team proposed as a solution. Here is the solution that was proposed to the customer. So on the left-hand side, you see a simplified diagram which really represents the customer's problems. In other words, they had to do node-by-node configuration. It was time-consuming. They absolutely had to wait for maintenance windows. The account team came in and positioned Fabric Connect. And so what that did for them is to be able to take out not only all the protocol interdependencies, but all the configuration points. Because now what happens is that you are able to create this very elegant virtual service network that lays on top of the fabric, and you absolutely only have to configure at the edge. So that not only speeds up the configuration, it eliminates maintenance windows and takes the risk out of going to the core of the network. So after the account team had won the Fabric Connect solution and really the core of the network, they then started to talk about access solutions. And you really can't start to talk about access solutions without having a wireless discussion. And that really has to start with today's model. And really the pervasive model today is that you have really kind of two information streams going to a data center and back. You have the controller stream, which actually goes and directs traffic, and then you actually have the data that itself that actually has to go through the entire network to the data center and back out to an AP. Well, as you can see from the diagram, that's quite inefficient, and the controller becomes the bottleneck, and it really does reduce your scalability. So what the account team is positioning with the account is that going forward, this Fabric Connect will be an integral part of a wireless solution. So instead of having to take the data all the way to the data center, it simply hits the fabric at the edge of the network. So again, Avaya is the only company extending a fabric right to the edge of the network, and that has some significant advantages, and that is that the data goes right to the fabric and is treated just like any other traffic. However, in this case, it's isolated, and the controller traffic, which is very thin, goes to a wireless management system, back up, and is managed that way. But the great thing about this is that although it hits the traffic right at the edge and back up, it is completely secure. You have unlimited abilities to create networks within a fabric, and a wireless virtual service network is an example of one of those. Now, the next natural conversation to have with a customer is around the quality of the interpersonal communications, VoIP and video. About a year and a half ago, Avaya started to build quality probes into their VoIP devices. And that gave our professional service organization the ability in these very large networks to send very small synthetic bits of information out to any device that had these probes. It then gave us the ability to do some very detailed analysis by channel, by session. Well, that's fine until you start talking about, let's say, a video session over a PC. Well, there is no real device, it's a PC. So then Avaya started to build these quality probes into the networking gear. Now, what that allows you to do is use the port as a proxy for the device. So now any session that takes place across the network can be monitored. Now, the great thing about this is done in a proactive way. It's not something that monitors as it's going. You can actually send these synthetic bits of information out to devices, measure the quality, and then take care of the problem before it happens. So this is one of the great advantages that Avaya has by being both a collaboration company as well as a networking company. To replicate this opportunity, certainly there are some elements that were in the other cases as well that start to emerge as patterns, but unique to this opportunity, look for companies that have their own private wide area networks. Let the technology sell itself. The sooner you get the technology in front of them, the easier the sales cycle goes. And again, ask as many times as needed. In this case, 16 times with a great return on ask. We spoke earlier about selling to the mid-market. The city of Taylor is an average-sized city in the Midwestern United States. And really, the city of Taylor experienced many of the problems that other cities of the similar size experience on a daily basis. And that is, they have a lot of expense of their IT budget going toward these recurring costs of moves, adds, and changes. Not only for the telephony system, but also for the networking system. So they wanted to really get to the point where they could manage those things themselves. The solution proposed was a Avaya IP Office and really a full suite of Avaya networking solutions. They experienced the value because they were able to reduce the time that their staff had to spend on moves, adds, and changes. They also reduced the expense of maintenance because of the lifetime warranty. And they were able to have confidence that the scalability of the IP Office would be there for years, as well as the Avaya networking gear. It was a win-win situation for the city of Taylor and for Avaya. The Sales and Partner Portal really is your one-stop shop for sales material. On the left-hand side, you'll see collateral and sales material links. You'll also see product information. And then anything that is recently posted will be listed under the What's New section. You can also get to it with the quick link drop-down menu. We have a video section that's really chock full of customer videos and testimonials. And here's the great thing. The search engine actually works. And when you need information on the go, don't forget the Sales Pro application. It works on a wide variety of mobile devices. Not only can you pull up information like spec sheets instantaneously, but you can also forward them via email. Information is really only as good as the degree to which you put it into action. So I'd like to leave you with 3 challenges today. First, engage the networking team. Engage them early in deals. Don't wait too long. 2, learn the story. I don't expect you to be technical experts in all this, but you certainly can tell the story to anyone in the customer organization. And 3, identify and drive 5 new opportunities this quarter. Thank you, and good selling.